I've had a couple of requests from a few people to do a few more gluten-free desserts. So this morning I'm actually going to make a Torta Caprese, which is a chocolate cake that originated in Capri. The original recipe that I'm going to use is one from Giada De Laurentiis from the Food Network. But what we're going to do is we're going to use almond flour, so that way it'll be gluten-free. I've got 1.5 cups of almond flour. I'm actually using xylitol, but you could use regular sugar, and we've got a cup of that. And just a note that you probably already knew this, but just to make sure, when you're doing your measurements, a measuring cup like this is used for liquids. If you're measuring dry ingredients, then you want to use these type of measuring cups. Okay, I separated 5 eggs. I've got the egg yolks here. I've got the whites over in my mixing bowl that I'm going to be mixing up here in just a few minutes. You can use any kind of dark chocolate that you want. I happen to have these Lily's dark chocolate baking chips. So again, kind of carrying on the sugar-free theme. I'm going to be using a cup and a half of these. I'm melting those with 2 sticks of butter. I use a vegan butter, but you can use regular butter. That is on the stove currently. I'll show that to you. And you use a teaspoon of vanilla. And I've got my homemade vanilla here. And you're going to put it in a springform pan. And I've already taken the springform pan. I've rubbed butter all around it. And I put a piece of parchment paper in the bottom just to help it not stick and to come out. Okay, so I've got my little double boiler going here, which is just a pan with some water over the heat, and you can use a bowl. This is just what I'm using this morning, but typically I would say just use a regular bowl that will fit over the pan, and you don't really want it down deep enough to touch the water. So I have that melting. I will give it a stir here in just a minute, but I wanted to show you over here. I have my mixing bowl with my egg whites, and I'm going to start those mixing so that we can get those nice and fluffy. I put just a pinch of salt in it to help, and we'll just kind of let that take away and start doing its thing. I'm going to stir my chocolate, and I'll be right back. All right, my chocolate and my butter is all melted. You can see just how glossy, how nice and kind of creamy it is. It's a little bit hot. It does kind of need to cool down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the flour mixture. And I also had beaten the 5 egg yolks with a cup of the sugar and a teaspoon of the vanilla until they get to be kind of this light, pale yellow color. And then I'll mix those in once my chocolate's cooled down a little bit, because you don't want to add it right away, because then you're going to get scrambled egg yolks. Then I'll come back and I'll fold in the egg whites, and you want to beat them until they get to be nice, kind of stiff peaks. And the egg whites are going to actually help make this cake not so dense, because by nature the almond flour is going to make a very dense cake. I added the egg yolk mixture to the chocolate and the almond flour a little at a time so that it would cool down and I'd not get scrambled eggs. And I've mixed it up, and now I'm going to fold in the egg whites. All right, I'm folding in the egg whites. I've already folded half of them. I'm going to add the rest of them here. And the batter's starting to lighten up a little bit. Let me get a few more out of the bowl. Okay, let's set that on the side. Now, when you fold, you're just gently turning and folding. See how you do this? Just folding in the egg yolk or the egg white into the almond flour, the chocolate butter, and egg yolk mixture. You can see just how few ingredients this actually is. We're going to bake it in a 350-degree oven for about 40 minutes. And I'm going to get these all mixed in. Almost there. You just want to do it very gently because you're not wanting to deflate the egg whites too much, because you want that lighter, airier cake, because it is going to be more dense than probably what you're used to because of the almond flour. We also, as I said, used the xylitol. You could use Monkfruit, any kind of non-glycemic sugar replacement that you want to make this more of a sugar-free, diabetic-friendly cake. And I told you and showed you the package of the Lily's dark chocolate, which is sweetened with stevia. So again, we're cutting down on that. All right, I showed you how I did my springform pan. So we're going to pour this batter in. See if you can see that. My bowl may be in the way. Let me get to the bottom here. Get it all spooned in. According to Giada, the legend for this Torta Caprese, which, as I said, originated in Capri, Italy, was that there was a couple that had come into a bakery and requested this cake, and the baker was very, very busy, didn't really want to mess with it apparently. This is one of the legends, and he actually ended up leaving out some of the ingredients, so it basically turned out to be kind of this not quite a flourless chocolate cake, but it at least is using the almond flour, and it became a big hit. All right, so there we go. We're going to go into the 350-degree oven. I'm going to tap it just a little bit for about 40 minutes, and then we'll take it out. Okay, 40 minutes in my oven at 350 was perfect. Springform pan, you just unrelease, lift off, comes right off because we had it all greased. Okay, let's take a slice of it. Oh, it feels really moist. If I want to do that, or if I want to try it with the knife here. Ah, look at that. Isn't that nice? Missed a little bit of the end of it, but you can then serve it with some gelato, or if you want to just put some whipped cream, sprinkle the top with powdered sugar, which is what I should have done before I cut a piece to eat, but we are going to, oops, and here comes my person sneaking a bite. Let's see, what's the verdict? Thumbs up. So actually I'm going to sprinkle it with powdered sugar and show you what that looks like. Okay, I should have done this before I cut the piece, but we were just so anxious to give it a try. I got ahead of myself. So you can use regular powdered sugar. And again, this is powdered swerve, so it's a stevia based, so you don't have the glycemic sugar issue. Put it in a little sifter and you just lightly sift over the top. You could also do the same thing with cocoa powder if you wanted to do that. But we'll just go around as little or as much as you want. Then you're ready to serve it. You could even top it with some raspberries, something like that if you wanted to. Might have got a little heavy-handed there, but you get the general idea. So, bon appetito.